doing? Uh, this is the Wood Dog, and as you know, this is my segment, just keeping it real. Because keeping it real is the only thing that I know how to do. The only thing that I know how to do. I'm just an average guy. This is my segment, just keeping it real, because you know how I do it. I just keep it real. Today is October 24th, and it's still Breast Cancer Month. Recognition for all the people who've suffered under this unseen enemy of cancer. I'm representing today with my pink shirt on for good reason. And this segment right here, I want all of you to pay attention to this, because I know that there are scores, hundreds, and thousands of people at the sound of my voice that's experienced the loss of a loved one from cancer. And cancer is something that can take down the strongest among us, let alone the weak. And what I'm going to talk about here today is something that's going to touch your spirit. This is something that I've known about for almost a month now, and I was trying to figure out the best way to do it and the best way to talk about it. And what better way to talk about it than just to keep it real? Keep it real. You with the Wood Dog. And this is on my YouTube channel. You can look up my channel on YouTube, just keeping it real, at Wood Dog 4868 if you need to look me up, because if you go on there, there's a lot of people saying just keep it real channels, but I got the fist. I usually have my banner behind me, but I'm so wound up about this situation, and it's going to take me a minute. I like to stick to my 30 minutes, so that's what I'm going to do. And I just want to give a shout out to anybody who needs vehicle repairs to contact Phil's Auto Service. They're at 19340 Gerald Avenue in Northville. That's Phil's 76 Auto Service. 19340 Gerald Avenue in Northville. Ask for Hot Rod and tell them the Wood Dog sent you, all right? Now, here we go. This is a situation where this is a woman that I'm very familiar with. And this is Breast Cancer Month, okay? Breast cancer. Ladies and anybody who's been affected or know somebody that's been affected by cancer, listen up, because this is one dirty, low-down, nasty situation that was done to somebody who is a cancer survivor here in Wayne County, Michigan, okay? And the name of this person is who I know very well. Her name is Miss Mary Young. Miss Mary Young and her attorneys from Pitt Law, they filed a lawsuit in United States District Court in the Eastern District of Southern Michigan. Miss Mary Young, the plaintiff, against Wayne County Probate Court. Okay, this lawsuit was filed August 25th of this year. August 25th of 2025 of this year. And her attorneys is Pitt Law. Mr. Michael Pitt, P number P24429, attorney Bayhan Jaber, P number 85451, attorneys for the plaintiff. They're on 4th Street, Suite 200 out of Royal Oak, Michigan. This lawsuit was filed in August, people, and I'm going to get right into it right now. Okay, Miss Mary Young was a 26-year plus employee of the Wayne County Probate Court here in Michigan, okay? And she had to file a lawsuit because she was terminated from her employment while under treatment and medical leave surviving from cancer. Can you go figure that? Now, this situation goes way, way deep, people. For a person like Miss Mary Young to get treated like she was, when I found out that they did her like that, Now, she's not dead. She's alive. She's still surviving. But I know her personally. I've been knowing Miss Mary Young for at least over 15, 18 years. During my days when I was a deputy sheriff in Wayne County. You know, I was a deputy sheriff for over 30 years before I retired in 2022 from the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. But this is what happened. Miss Mary Young, this is page 2 of the lawsuit, paragraph 6. Miss Mary Young was terminated from her employment on December 9th of 2024 for discrimination, and she filed a lawsuit for discrimination, Equal Unemployment Opportunity Commission. Okay, they notified her right to sue. Okay, and she was terminated. Miss Mary Young is over 50 years old. I'm like about 8 years older than her, but right now she's about 50, 51 years old. She began her employment with the Wayne County Probate Court in 1998 when she was just like 24 years old. She was terminated from her employment on December 9th of 2024 after more than 26 years on the job. Exemplary service, okay? She's been promoted not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, 5, 6 times. She's been promoted for exemplary performance on duty, being a clerical clerk with no break-in service, no attendance problems, no disciplinary issues. Her only issue was being diagnosed with cancer at a young age like that. Okay? She was promoted in April of 1999. She was promoted again in May of 1999. Promoted again in April 10th of 2001. Promoted again in 2002. Promoted again in 2005 to the senior position of court clerk under the late Judge Kathy B. Marhar. I knew that judge. And her husband was a judge in probate court. His name was Martin Marhar. And I just go to tell you, I have history in law enforcement in Wayne County. And she was also promoted in 2006 to the position of judicial service analyst, then promoted again in April 2010 to the position of administrative assistant under the judge of June Blackwell Hatcher, who I know very well. She is one of the most prominent Black female attorneys in Wayne County Probate Court at that time. And I remember being her courtroom deputy. She was the only female working in the probate court system as an elected judge. And if you remember, her late father was the longtime mayor of the city of Highland Park back in its heyday. Okay, moving on. On January 2nd of 2019, she was transferred to Judge Hatcher as a courtroom coordinator. And for Wayne County Probate Court, like I said, she was a very valuable employee. But little did she know that somebody had an axe freshly sharpened to strike her in the back. And that's exactly what they did. And she's never missed work or anything. You know, she was like I was, perfect attendance, damn near her whole career. But as we know, COVID came along. It changed the game as it pertains to court operations, people having to do their work remotely. And she made a seamless transition and trained her peers to how to handle probate court matters when the situation was new on how to conduct business remotely in the courts. You see how valuable this woman was? And she was diagnosed with breast cancer and placed on approved leave of medical absence. Get this, approved. And I think it's FMLA, no matter how you say it. So before I get into this, how do you fire somebody who is on a medical leave? Well, that's why she hired Pitt Law out of Royal Oak. And Michael Pitt and Brian Jaber gonna get to the bottom of that whole situation. On March 15th of 2024, Young was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. Okay? But she continued to work in her position remotely as the courtroom coordinator for Judge Hartsfield until May 8th of 2024. Now, on May 31st, that same month, she underwent lumpectomy surgery for breast cancer. That is powerful, man. And on June 1st of 2024, the court extended her medical leave to July 7th of 2004. And then again, on July 8th of 2024, the court extended her medical leave to July 15th. Now, who is the court to decide on who gets approved or not approved for medical leave or anything else for that matter? I'm going to break that down to you as well shortly. But let me get back to this. Then on August 18th of 2024, Miss Mary Young underwent a double mastectomy surgery. August 18th of 2024. Then on August 19th, they extended her medical leave again to September 15th, 2024. So this woman was going through some hell, okay? But she was still a member of the Wayne County Probate Court. She was still handling her duties as best as she could, considering the fact that she was going through hell fighting breast cancer. Okay? And her last biweekly chemotherapy, which lasted until January of this year, she had some issues from breast implant surgery. She had some complications from that implant surgery. She survived it. And her eventually she returned to work. She's not that big. She's only like maybe 4'9" and going through all of this and still surviving, fighting for her life and still trying to satisfy duties and trying to help people at the Wayne County Probate Court in Michigan. And then on September 16, 2024, they extended her leave to January 31st of 2025. Okay? Now, get this. They have a human resources person. Her name is Becky Sequin. Becky Sequin, Sequin. This was a letter written by this person on December 9th of 2024, page 6 of the lawsuit, paragraph 39. On December 9th, Human Resources Manager Becky Sequin wrote a letter to Young while on approved medical leave, stating, as you know, Judge Hartsfield has been assigned to the Third Circuit Court Juvenile Division. Following this transition, Judge Hartsfield's replacement, Judge Gaines, has decided not to select you, Miss Mary Young, as her courtroom coordinator. Therefore, I regret to inform you that your employment will be terminated January 1st of 2025. Now, Miss Mary Young had already been working over 26 years at the Wayne County Probate Court with all the exemplary accolades that I just detailed to you. Even if judges come and go, and a lot of judges will work at family court, then they'll turn around and work juvenile court, and then they want to get something in their spirit to go work civil court. It doesn't matter where they go. The civil servants or the court employees who are unionized still stay in place and serve the next person coming in. But that didn't happen with Miss Mary Young. They just wanted her out of the way. And this person, Becky Sequin, supposed to be this omnipotent power, Thor hammer swinging person manager of HR, wants to just try to make herself feel relevant and important by terminating somebody illegally. Even when there was right to work legislation in Michigan, you couldn't just arbitrarily fire somebody like that, especially when they're unionized and represented by a collective bargaining agreement. But did she care about that? No. Did Becky Sequin know about the union law in Michigan? No. I believe that this person is just somebody that, because she went to college somewhere, whether it's Fair State, Central Michigan, that she feels like, oh, I got the power. I got some power and I can do what I want to do. So that's exactly what she did. And I bet you she did not contact people over her before she decided to put in those words, effective. I regret to inform you that your termination will be terminated effective January 1st. Now, she retained legal counsel. Legal counsel tried to cause it. No, this can't be happening. This cannot be happening to this person, who's fighting breast cancer, trying to live and survive, work, live, pay bills, and they doing this to her. Maybe this person wasn't trained properly. Miss Becky in human resources for Wayne County Probate Court. Couldn't be. So they tried to reach out on behalf of Miss Mary Young to find out what was happening. No action. Even though they requested a rescission of her termination to the active court's employee roles in accordance with her physical letter clearing her for a return to work, her notifications fell on deaf ears. They didn't care. And in an email on January 22nd of 2025 of this year, the email was sent to Human Resources. Miss Becky Sequin reads as follows. Okay, check this out. Her attorney sent a letter saying, I represent Mary Young in connection with the termination. I understand she was previously asked for a copy of her personnel file. I'm closing the request for Miss Young, permitting the court to forward her file to her attorneys, and blah, blah, blah. Page 7 of this lawsuit, paragraph 40. As you know, Miss Young is currently being treated for life-threatening cancer. Her termination has left her without medical insurance, and she is unable to afford the premiums required by COBRA. My discussion with the court's labor counsel will be of great benefit to Ms. Young, who is a loyal employee of the court for over 26 years. This is her attorney trying to reason with the Wayne County Probate Court and reason with this HR manager, Becky Sequin. But she didn't care about that. She got a plain clothes, dress shoes job, thinking that she ain't nothing. Well, you know what? Becky Sequin, as it pertains to Mary Young, yeah, she's a nobody to her. But Mary Young meant a lot to the Wayne County deputies who knew her. Miss Mary Young meant a lot to her fellow co-workers that she worked with. She meant a lot to some of the judges that she performed her duties for. Nobody had a complaint with Miss Mary Young, so her attorneys got nowhere with a conversation, so they had to file the lawsuit. in United States District Court, Eastern District. Yeah. It says here at 41, the court did not rescind the termination, did not reinstate Miss Mary Young to the active role. They said, the hell with you. So what if you got cancer? That's basically what they told her. And just because a judge moved around did not negate the fact that she was an employee for the court. And they had unwritten rules about when judges move on and stuff. It doesn't matter with the employees. Why are they singling out Miss Mary Young? You know, she was off on approved medical leave, FMLA. You know, that's why this is a federal matter, because federal law is very clear on FMLA, very clear. It's just like a soldier, whether you're in the Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marine, reserves, when you leave to go serve your military duty, your job must be there when you get back per federal law. It better be there, or heads are going to roll on the federal level. And this is the issue with the unions. See, if you know the issue of unions, they always can use past practice to affect policy. Okay, so this pertained to Mary Young. Even though a judge moved on, that doesn't mean anything. She's supposed to fill in for the new person coming in. This is a description of the court's past practices concerning the employment of courtroom coordinators and administrative assistants to probate judges. Okay, beginning in 2010, the court would appoint court employees to be either an administrative assistant or courtroom coordinator assigned to a particular probate judge. Didn't matter who it was. Okay, at all times, these individuals remained an employee of the court and entitled to all statutory and contractual rights available to that employee. But did that matter to the HR manager, Becky Sequin? No. For example, Judge June Blackwell Hatcher, during her tenure as a Wayne County probate judge, released 2 courtroom coordinators, administrative assistants, because she was dissatisfied with their performance. In both cases, the court did not terminate these employees. They remained court employees. And instead, these employees were reassigned with other Wayne County Probate Court departments. Now, why Judge June Blackwell, she's retired. June Blackwell Hatcher is retired, but why was she going through so many assistants? When I was a deputy sheriff, I was assigned to probate court. This ain't even about Judge Blackwell Hatcher. This is about Mary Young. But Judge June Blackwell Hatcher was going mental. And she was always dismissing people for a variety of reasons. And anybody who challenged her, she wanted to act like a badass. I mean, she even had an issue with me and didn't want me coming to her courtroom as a deputy. And the deputies, we have full range of motion and full autonomy in the court as it pertains to security. And she didn't want me in her courtroom because I checked her on talking about one of my partners who was going through a medical issue. And she was talking behind her back. And I said, don't talk about my partner like that. You got something to say to her, say it to her directly. And it got back to her, and she thought that she was some big omnipotent person. I don't want him in my courtroom. What if a fight jumped up and I'm going in there? You know, I'm gonna do my duty. And I did my duty for over 30 years as a Wayne County sheriff until I retired. So moving on. Historically, these appointees were not dismissed. They're court employees, but they didn't care about that about Mary Young. And the past practice was totally ignored by other court administrators, including the chief administrator of the probate court and Becky Sequin, who was in charge of human resources of the Wayne County Probate Court. And the past practice was to assign his or her replacement, the courtroom coordinator, with an appointee to the departing judge. Young, as the most senior coordinator, observed this past practice on many occasions. And so that past practice trumps any personal feelings. Why were they attacking Miss Young with no disciplinary record, no attendance issues? She was liked and loved by everyone. What is it? The fact that she was off work while everybody else had to report to work? Yeah, she was off work on approved medical leave, but she was fighting for her life. She wasn't off on medical leave because she broke her ankle or she had a broke arm. She was fighting an unseen enemy, which is breast cancer. That's why October's Breast Cancer Month. All these marches and stuff that they do, fundraisers and stuff like that, does that mean anything? It should mean something because men get cancer too. Okay? And Judge Briggs, per established practices, was assigned to the juvenile division. You know, past practice, letting judges move around. You know, and all these changes came around in 1 month, which was January of 2025 of this year. And they had a situation where Judge Hartsfield did not have an administrative assistant when she transferred to the juvenile court. So they assigned a person, a court clerk, to serve as her administrative assistant from another court. But they couldn't do nothing for Mary Young. You know? Now, if these past practices were followed with some individuals, why didn't it pertain to Miss Mary Young? She was approved and approved to come back to work in January. But instead, the court reached out and rehired a person named Janelle Hill, a former Wayne County Probate Court employee. Okay? So they dancing all over the place, and this is why she had to file a civil lawsuit to try to get something back for over them 26 years that she did. You know, and I'm sure that Mary Young thought that her service would be rewarded, like most people who work up until retirement. You know, she gets almost to the end and they pull the rug underneath her for something that she had no control of. There was a lot of people off work with COVID getting paid and coming back to work. And she went off work. She was ducking and dodging COVID, had a pre-existing condition, which was cancer. And they do this to her. Okay. Page 10. Paragraph 55, a person named Gail Garvin, who was a supervisor of the behavioral unit with about 15 years of seniority, way under what Mary Young had, was assigned to be Judge McClory's courtroom coordinator. Now go figure that one. If this is what the deal is, if Mary Young had not been on medical leave, she would have been assigned to Judge McClory. She would have been assigned to a whole lot of people if she hadn't been fighting cancer. Now I'm on page 11 of this civil lawsuit. Her condition of cancer qualifies as a covered disability because it substantially limits one or more major life activities, which includes functions of the immune system and normal cell growth. Okay, cancer and its treatment can significantly impact a person's ability to perform everyday tasks, such as working, walking, bathing, caring for yourself, blah, blah, blah. You know, and as a covered employee, so she thought, but, it's unlawful for the Wayne County Probate Court to deny Miss Mary Young all the advantages of employment which are made available to employees who did not have her disability, history of disability, or were regarded as being disabled. meaning COVID-19 that was going on in the community in 2020, 2021. And then we kind of started to relax in 2022. Miss Mary Young's rights were as a qualified individual with a disability were violated when she was terminated while on medical leave because she lost her appointment as a courtroom coordinator for a particular judge. That doesn't mean anything. She's still an employee of the court. I'm telling you all this so you would know what monsters they are at the Wayne County Probate Court. See, listen to me. Even though the probate court is in the same building as the Wayne County Circuit Court for civil cases, they are not one and the same. The judges are state judges because they are elected by us. But the probate court has its own civilian hierarchy. They have their own budget. They have their own union for their people that work in probate court. They give some of these civilian, like these titles, like the head of the probate register. What is that? This is supposed to be the most senior administrative person in probate court. I remember the first time I was assigned to probate court, it was a lady called the probate register. Her name was Jean Taganaga. She was an American female, white female. She was married to a Japanese American. That's why her last name was Taganaga. And she subsequently passed away some time ago. But she was a dirty, low-down, lying individual. If they don't like you in probate court, they're going to make your life hell. And that's what they do. And that's exactly what they're doing to this breast cancer survivor, Miss Mary Young, forcing her to seek relief through an attorney and had to file a lawsuit in United States District Court of this year in February. Now, the Sixth Court of Appeals has determined that extending a medical leave for a definite duration for a qualified individual with a disability is reasonable accommodation. Case law, Cures versus Northeast Ohio Alzheimer's Research Center, Sixth Circuit Court, 1998. How the Wayne County Probate Court is going to defend and win this lawsuit, it ain't happening. They're going to lose it, and they know it. Now, on September 13th of 2024, Young was presented to the court, released to return to work on January 31st, 2025. This was a reasonable request for accommodation, but it was denied. You know, they already stuck their foot in their mouth when they fired her, and they wanted to back up this manager, human resources manager, Becky Sequin's decision. So reversing themselves would admit wrongdoing and the wrongful termination. They're just hiring people to hold these positions just because they got a college degree. You know, just because a person has a college degree doesn't make them in of itself smarter than the rest of us. Okay? The Wayne County Probate Court could not establish that it would have been an undue hardship to provide Miss Young with the accommodation that she and her treating physician requested. And they still can't to this day. But they wanted to fire her, forcing her to seek relief through the courts. She was terminated solely by the reason of her disability, for no other reason. Breast cancer is one of the most serious diseases out here. There are many, and cancer is one of them, especially a sensitive matter like breast cancer. You know, because women, they associate a lot of their femininity with their breasts. Some women have large breasts. Some women have medium-sized breasts. Some women have small breasts. It doesn't matter who that person is as a person. That's just their breast, but it identifies them. They identify with that. Men identify women with the size of their breasts. It's a psychological issue. It's a physical issue. And this is not for comedy, because you know I don't joke and jive around on my channel, just keeping it real. But when you have to have your breast surgically removed to live, that does a lot to a person. And that's a lot of issues and physical pain and suffering and surgeries and things that go along with that treatment in of itself. As a direct result, I'm on page 14, paragraph 80 of this civil lawsuit. Now listen to me clear. I'm going to quote the lawsuit word for word. As a direct result of the Wayne County Probate Court's discrimination against Mary Young, Mary Young has been deprived of her 26-year career at the court at a relatively young age of 51, and has experienced lost income, wages, benefits, including comprehensive medical insurance to deal with her life-threatening illness. Miss Mary Young has experienced overwhelming emotional distress over the loss of her career and the curtailment of her comprehensive health insurance that is required to prevent her untimely death from the ravages of breast cancer. And I say again, to prevent her untimely death from the ravages of breast cancer. She needed that medical insurance. She needed her job to pay for the insurance that provides the medical services to keep her alive and with us. And when the Wayne County Probate Court and Becky Sequin and that, I don't know who the probate registrar is over there, took that away from her. And I am very disturbed and upset, because who was speaking up for Miss Mary Young? Where were the judges that she was assigned to over her 26-year career? Where were they trying to help Miss Mary Young? Because everybody knew what she was going through, including her peers. And I think a lot what had to do with her was because she held a senior position at the court. There was other people, namely some of her peers, who wanted her job. And they were talking behind her back, talking around the water cooler, trying to get her out of the way so they could move up into probate court and possibly get treated the same way as Miss Mary Young. This is a violation of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, failure to accommodate. Her lawyers are going to have a field day with this. And when she wins this lawsuit, she can get a medical retirement and possibly get a large lump sum that she can annuitize the lawsuit money and draw in a monthly annuity off of that money for the rest of her life. Why would she even want to go back there at this point? Because I know that's all she knows after starting the job at 23, 24 years old, all the way up to 51. That's all she knows is doing her job and doing it right. And being a breast cancer survivor, you would think that everybody would give her some sympathy, especially her female co-workers and some of these female judges who didn't do enough to stop what they were doing to Miss Mary Young, who was fighting cancer, had double breast removal, and then subsequently breast implants, and had complications from that in the drainage tubes and all this stuff. They didn't care about none of that. They just wanted her out of the way because she was a senior employee and they wanted her job. And that's what they did to her. And when I heard about this, I had to speak on it, because keeping it real is the only thing I know how to do. I got my pink shirt on representing breast cancer. Okay? And for them to do what they've been doing to Mary Young, they've done similar things to other employees at that Wayne County Probate Court. People can't even go down there now and get anything done. They're down there playing games, hiding in their offices, talking about we're still doing remotely. It's time to get back in person and do this stuff right. And for all those female people who were talking about behind Miss Mary Young's back, shame on you. And for those judges, especially the female judges who Miss Mary Young worked for and did good work for you, shame on you for not stepping up and putting your 2 cents in to try to help her. She got help now. You know, she got a pit bull law. And those attorneys are going to handle their business, and they're going to get her the justice that she deserves. Sometimes when you run into issues like this, kicking and screaming is not how you get it done. You go get you a top-notch law firm, some people that have a history of fighting for folks, and you fight that way. There was no reason for them to do what they did to Miss Young, because most of them people don't know what it's like to be a breast survivor or to lose somebody from breast cancer. But then again, there are people who do know but didn't care. Well, this lawsuit is going to make the Wayne County Probate Court care, and anyone connected with her termination and anyone connected with her denial of her work rights are going to pay for it civilly. Now, this is the Wood Dog. And this is my segment, Just Keeping It Real. It's October 24th, and I want to thank each and every one of y'all for listening. And I'm out of here.